Hey, I'm here with my good buddy and friend and colleague, Stephen Garrett, Power Bhakti, disguised as Ken Wilber today. And he's got some thoughts to say about anarchy, or at least we do.
We'll see how they flow. But what I got the other day was that true spirituality is actually anarchy, and it all begins with this fundamental, basic assumption or belief that there's a God. And the moment we do that, we send our personal power away. We abrogate our personal power and our personal responsibility.
Now, are you saying that there's no God, and the God is only like some form of control mechanism that sort of...
Bro, there's no God.
How can there be no God?
There's no God. It's not the way we hold it.
Okay, well, what about all these spiritual experiences that we've had, you and I have had, on illumination intensives and workshops?
I know.
Are those God experiences, or are they something else?
Those are like awakenings. They're openings, they're beginnings, but there's still remnants of this belief in the mind that filters that stuff. So there's no God. There is no God. I'm convinced of it. There is a...
So when all these people around the world believe there's a God, I mean, I don't know how many people, but many people, and nudge, you know, I have a particular perception of God. I'm basically I'm an atheist, spiritual, religious person.
That's right.
Very.
That's right. But you see, there is something real there, but you can't call it a God because it's not an individual. It's not even a thing. There's just this total supreme isness that doesn't do anything.
Okay, so what good is that for us? Regular guys like us, or spiritual guys like us, or you know, what, like, does God ideally serve anything? And if not, what are its restrictions? What are we not allowing ourselves to open up to because of our belief in God?
I mean, the whole God thing is a fear-based thing. It's a control mechanism. There's no question about it. And what I give up when I believe in a God is I give up my personal power, my total freedom, my total ecstasy. I just give it up. That's why they're...
How?
It's some subtle, energetic suppression. For me, believing in God is like a suppression of me. Because what happens if I'm in? And it just gets all confusing. I can't even explain it. It's so profoundly simple that if I really got a hold of it, my whole life would transform into ease and grace and flow. And it would just be.
Well, what about like, wouldn't there be people just destroying each other then without a belief in God? Wouldn't there be people just being non-moral and wouldn't everything go into decay?
No,
and wouldn't people lose their conscience?
It's exactly the opposite, bro. It's exactly the opposite.
How's that?
It's purity. It's realness. It's just so-ness. You could not do all those negative things. It's impossible. When you know that, you can't do harm.
So if this really is a valid truth, if this is really a valid truth that can be tested, and you're not asking for this to be believed, I hope, all right, because that would make it a religion too, I guess,
absolutely
right?
Not.
If that's the case, then where do we start with testing this notion, this non-God spirituality? If I'm getting it right.
Yep.
How and where do we test it or begin to understand it? And is there a practice that I and my friends can take on?
I think the practice that I would do is I would just simply sit. And I would explore the question deeply, is there a God? I would just simply sit in that open contemplation and allow the answers to flow. Is there a God? Go find out for yourself. You can't read about it. You can't really listen to me talking about it, but there's a sitting practice you can do. Actually, the illumination intensive.
Yeah.
That doesn't.
Is there God?
That doesn't.
Tell me what God is. Well, is there or is there not a God? can one's life be served by the truth of either side, if there is a side? If so, the contemplation continues, or we find out for ourselves.
Maybe that's the ultimate good and evil thing.
What do you
That's,
mean?
well, maybe is there a God or isn't there a God is the ultimate duality. It's the duality that all other dualities are built on.
Well, I'd love to hear your shares, your thoughts, your comments on this, and perhaps any practices that can help us out on the path of the warrior sage.